Hey everybody, welcome back, my global thespians, to the Kevin E, my channel, Kevin E West, veteran television actor, and of course, founder of the award-winning business organization, the Actors Network. This is Q-Tips, as we like to call it, or for me, business is show business, which is just like life in so many ways. And we're right in the middle of the P series. No, not pencil, but the pencil's in the air. I don't know what's going on. I have French cuffs on. That means this whole day has gone sideways. If I'm wearing French cuffs, something went sideways, which usually just means an audition or something. But anyway, we are on to the next P video called The Principle, which, not principle from your school, the principle, fundamental truth, right? There's just some fundamental truths about what I'm about to do over the course of the next 750, 60 videos that are really important for you to, I don't want to say agree with, I don't want to say own, I don't want to say have to, I don't want to use any of those phrases. But they're certainly really important to consider. They're really important to keep in mind because you're going to butt up against them. Everybody's going to butt up against them. How you respond to that going forward is the most important part. But they are fundamental truths of the business of show business. And a lot of times what happens is people think that I, which is odd, am so focused on the business of business that it's being too analytical and I'm dismissing the craft. It's like, oh no, you guys got to realize I'm a mental case. And I mean that in the good crazy kind of way, like being an act. No, man, I love the art. I love performing. I love improv and freeze tag and stand-up comedy and everything that's about being goofy. Okay, that's cool. Yes, I'm not dismissing the craft, but the business of the show business is about also a fundamental truth of you have to be a professional. You got to be a professional. I know 10-year-olds that are more professional than 30-year-olds. You got to be a pro, and knowing the business of the business better helps us be better professionals. That's a fundamental truth, okay? And I mean, you got to understand what I've seen, and the dedication to the business is rare. Most people don't have it. And when you dedicate yourself to the business, I promise you, you're going to get, I mean, we have so many movies I could reference about this, but the bottom line is your fellow actors, wherever you live, any city, country, marketplace, doesn't matter, you're going to get judgment, you're going to get negativity, your family, your friends, they're going to have a hard time with maybe some of what you're either talking to them about when you go home on the holidays or whatever it is you're dealing with or whatever it is you come home from. But again, just direct them to me because I promise you the fundamental truth of that is an important thing to be ready for because it's likely to happen. I wish it wouldn't, but it's likely to happen. And again, I've mentioned in a few videos along the way, but I played baseball at a pretty high level, and I was the third baseman. It's my favorite position, but also not one that involves a lot of patience. And I'm not a particularly patient person. You'll notice when I'm in the videos, I'm usually leaning or moving. I'm the guy who bounces his knee and could do it for hours and not even realize he's doing it. No, it's not restless knee syndrome. I can stop whenever I feel like. But it is a process of learning to change some of your habits. And I had to learn how to be patient. And that's a fundamental truth about the business of show business. Man, you might come right out of the gate and start working a bunch. And then all of a sudden you don't work for a year and a half. Boy, does that take patience. Man, you got to change some habits. It's just important because there's just the fundamental truth of this profession is it's just massive subjectivity. It's just hard. Things are always changing. There is no answer. It's a chapter in my book. We want answers. Who's the best this? Who's the best that? How do I exactly do? Guys, it's not the nature of show business, okay? It's just a minefield of subjectivity and no answers. And that's a fundamental truth to it. I wish it weren't the case, but I used to say to people all the time, I'm like, guys, if there was an exact formula to do these 7,200 things and become a star, trust me, my butt would have found them. There isn't. But you certainly can make yourself have an actionable confidence over the fragility of a mental tug of war related to the business versus the craft. And that's what I want. I want your fundamental truth to be you have actionable confidence and not constant, ooh, I don't, that's what I want you to get beyond by the stuff that I talk to you about, okay? Because this is a massive paradox, right? Think about it. This is it's a multi-billion-dollar global industry pretending to be art. That's what it is. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry pretending from our chair to be art. That doesn't mean that it can't be art to us, but it also means you can't just sit in a blind corner believing it's just about art, because the casting realities will just smack that out of you. So this is part of what's hard for us. A couple of fundamental truths of, like, people say, oh, well, you have to do stage, you have to do theater to be a good actor. Careful. Jack Nicholson has 3 Oscars, never did theater. Well, you have to, make it by the time you're 22 or 23, or you're never going to make it. Really? William H. Macy, Joe Pantoliano. Well, once you make it, if it goes away and you're no longer happening, then you're never going to work again. Really? John Travolta, Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino. His career was over. So be careful with taking some of the stories or some of the things you think are principles that somebody once said to you and making them a belief system or a fact. Because the fundamental truth is, I can give you not just one, but I can give you dozens and dozens of examples where that's not true. That's one of the reasons why when you look at someone's IMDb, don't look at what they just did. Go all the way to the bottom and look where they've been and how they got here, okay? So the whole point, the whole fundamental truth of this profession and the business of it is you got to walk and chew gum at the same time. And actors would get offended if you made them think they couldn't do that. Yet people get frustrated by me all the time when I'm like, bro, you can be a really good actor, but you also have to do the left brain in the business simultaneously. Walk and chew gum. Don't be complaining about it. You also have to understand that the pursuit of this profession as a fundamental principle is it's a walking contradiction to the way this profession functions. I use a lot of irony. I use a lot of humor to help myself get through this. But if you don't find a way to understand the kind of contradiction that this is all the time, this profession will eat you alive. It just will. It doesn't mean to. It's not trying to. It's just the nature of us being human. And, I beat the I'm a Pisces dog to death in these videos, but I do it for a reason. Because Hollywood doesn't offend me. People offend me all the time. But Hollywood is what it is. Like I said, multi-billion-dollar industry globally pretending to be art. So just understand that. And the business is all over now. It's not just Los Angeles. It's everywhere, man. That's something that happens in the now. We have to access work. The business is not the same as it used to be in certain ways, but it's everywhere because the way the profession functions. I mean, you have eTalento, which is a service in Europe, along with having Actors Access and Casting Frontier and all of those kinds of services in the States. So we may be globally apart as thespians. That's why I say, welcome global thespians, because we're everywhere. But the business of the show business now that we deal with is spoken globally. And we may be physically apart, but what we experience and what we go through is really similar, okay? Yes, there'll be some differences, but it's really, really similar. And, because we are the most undereducated, profession in the world, bar none, it requires us to be have a little more humility about what it is that I've been through and what it is that I know and the how of how I'm putting it to you. Because the consistent pursuit of this profession is a fundamental truth, I believe, to being successful at it if you're not gifted nepotism or gifted being a star in a very quick period of time. But understand that getting to the 1 or 3% in any profession simply isn't comfortable. And that is a principle we all can understand. Okay, like, subscribe, tell your friends, enemies, enemies of your friends, KevinEWest.com, the blog, and make sure you go over and follow me on Instagram Live. We are rolling on, not in a French cut shirt, to the next P. See you guys soon.